Hello everyone, today's video will be introducing my 1968 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. This will be the first in a series of videos about this car. When I bought it I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I decided I'm going to make a YouTube series about it. So if you enjoy this video and want to learn more about this car, follow along on my project and bring it back to life, please subscribe, like this video. Thank you. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the issues I've found with the car, talk about some of the things I've done already and what I plan to do in the future. Like I said already, I'll be making future videos about this vehicle, what I've done, and hopefully you'll enjoy following along in the restoration process. The car wasn't technically in running and driving condition. It didn't have a battery, the engine wasn't getting any gas to it. It would start with a jumper pack and some starter fluid, so I felt a little bit better about knowing the engine turned over. Obviously that's a significant expense if it didn't, but I knew that anything else was probably going to be a much smaller expense and I wasn't as worried about it. We'll do a quick walk around of the exterior while I talk about the history that I know of. When I got the car, it had been stored outside for a little while. The owner I bought it from purchased the car. He had a Karmann Ghia as his very first car. He wanted to restore this one, but unfortunately he suffered a back injury that made the car impractical for him to drive now. So I got it from him. He had purchased the vehicle maybe a year or two ago. He was kind of shaky on the timeline from a gentleman in North Carolina. Brought it up here and with the best intentions, but never really made any progress on it. So now it's my turn. Starting on the inside of the car, you can tell the steering wheel is aftermarket. This is not a factory Volkswagen steering wheel, it's much smaller, and you can see there's a little bit of play in it. The gauges are in decent condition, the speedometer does work, as does the oil pressure gauge and the fuel gauge. However, the oil temperature gauge I've had some issues with so far and haven't really got to the bottom of. Moving on from there, the radio is a Kenwood unit that someone had put in. It doesn't seem to be working at all. The power is all messed up on it, so I've taken off the faceplate for now so that I don't damage it in the process of everything else. Moving down, we have an aftermarket scat shifter for the 4-speed manual transmission. Seems to be working pretty good. Been happy with that so far. The glove box doesn't really pop out. I don't know if it's supposed to or not, but it is there and working. Got a little bit of fog in the windows around the bottom, and absolutely no real headliner to speak of. Somebody put some felt in here and glued it on, but that's a very temporary solution. Rear view mirror is there, very loose, and I don't know that I'll be able to tighten it, but I haven't really messed with that too much yet. The good news is the seats are in very good shape. They look like they've been reupholstered in black vinyl, as have the door panels. You can see the right side has a little bit of a gap here. The elastic's good, but I guess it's just not stuck as well as it should be on this side. But you can see even the back seat, vinyl's in pretty good shape. Same with the side panels. So I'm happy with that so far. When I initially got the vehicle, they had some plywood with Kenwood speakers drilled into them on the passenger side and the driver's side footwell with black carpeting around them. I've taken those out because, again, the speakers weren't working. They took up quite a bit of space in the footwell the way the previous owner had done that, so not really the best idea for what I wanted to have in here. The carpeting is in pretty decent shape. It's hard to get a good view in the light, but all black carpeting. It needs re-glued in a lot of places, but that's not a big deal. I have already replaced the lap belts with sort of kind of factory original looking shoulder and lap belts, so 3-point harnesses, you know, normal modern seat belts. Seemed like an easy fix to make the car more safe and drivable in case the worst were to happen in the car. So I will probably have a follow-on video in the near future on how to get these installed correctly. It's pretty straightforward and I highly recommend it. After sitting in the seats and using them, they're pretty comfortable and I think a worthwhile upgrade, even though it's not necessarily all original. Starting in the front, you can tell these headlights are not correct. They're original off of a Beetle, but not the Karmann Ghia. My understanding is this is a common repair to fix rust damage that occurs around this part of the car. And it wasn't too badly done. You can tell it's pretty smooth across the edge of that piece there. I'll try to get a view from up under. Alright, hopefully you can see some of the welding work that's been done in order to get these Beetle headlights to fit in the housing. I don't think it's been done recently, but it seems to have been done in a half knowledgeable way at least, so they should last for quite a while as is, even if it's not factory original and how it should be. I'm okay with that. Taking a closer look at the front bumper, you can see quite a bit of patina going on the chrome bumper. The emblem's pretty bad. It's got a lot of surface rust on that. And then during a recent brake test, after I got the brakes done, which I'll talk about in a later video, this grill actually shot out and I ended up running over it, unfortunately. It doesn't appear to have been further damaged than it was before, but I now have it zip tied on there just for safety for now until I can get a more permanent solution. While we're up here, you can also see in the headlights, turn signal light is inside the headlight mounting or housing. They currently do not work. Originally they're supposed to be mounted through these two somewhat rusted out holes, but I do not have those original factory Karmann Ghia turn signal cones right now, and I gotta work out a couple wiring issues similar to that in the near future. Underneath the front bumper, this is where the spare tire sits. You can see there's some rust damage here, and it looks like there's been some poorly executed repairs done. So that'll be something I'll have to address. So it seems structurally sound for now. Alright, now we're inside the front trunk. The release sticks a little bit. We got some grease in there, but that's something the previous owner put on, and probably not the best solution, so I'm going to look into something better. And the line, to release it correctly, is for some reason running to the driver's side. But it's supposed to go through that hole into the glove box, and the release is supposed to sit in the glove box. You can see that the well that the spare tire sits in is not in the best condition. It also needs cleaned up a little bit too. And you can see some evidence in here of the original red color that it came out from the factory in. And the wiring could probably use some cleaning up as well. Not very organized. It's the one VIN plate that is actually on the car. None of the other VIN plates are visible at this time, and I have looked. One thing I discovered in the process of buying is the fenders are metal, however, rocker panels are not. All along here is, so from that point below the back side of the door all the way up to the front fender is Bondo. You can see there it's starting to crack a little bit. Very clearly not original. But those parts are available and quite cheap as long as you know how to weld or know someone who does know how to weld. I don't know what route I'm going to take with that yet, but it's something I'm definitely going to have to get repaired in the not too distant future. The next significant body issue I came across was these welded floor pans. Only the rear part has been bondoed. You can hopefully see the lip where the original steel floor pan was, and now meets with what appears to be Bondo. I have stood on them. They're pretty sturdy, but not very holy craftsmanship. Front part's fine, just those back seats seem to have an issue. So while most of the interior is in pretty good shape and looks like it's been refreshed, this back this back sill looks like it might be original or poorly redone, but either way it's been bleached out by the sun. And in adjusting the back quarter window, I completely severed off the connector piece, so I will need a new piece for that. And a lot of the rubber is pretty brittle and dry rotted at this point too. So that's something I've looked into, but I don't really want to get ahead of myself before I decide what I want to do with the paint. And while I'm talking about paint, like I said, it has been repainted from red. You can maybe see a little bit of bubbling there. It looks like a single stage paint that someone repainted it as, and it's not in the greatest shape. It's the most significant exterior rust on the body, so it's not too bad. But you can see I have some more chips in the back. And the back deck lid vents are getting pretty bad as well. More evidence of the red that the car used to be along the deck lid opening. And and some more chips in the paint there will also address eventually. Rear bumper suffering from a lot of the same issues, surface rust and patina. Same with the exhaust, some surface rust on that, but that's pretty standard. And the way the bumper's connected is not looking like it's in factory new condition. And I talked about the front trunk release being sticky. The rear trunk engine bay does not even stick. It does not open at all, or latch at all rather. One of the first things I did so I knew the car could actually roll safely was get these classic all-season radials put on there. The wheels are in okay shape, and same with the hubcaps. Not perfect, but I can get those cleaned up or maybe do something else with it down the road, make it look a little bit better. But the badge is still in place, so that's something. The bumper's bent pretty badly on the rear end spots. You can see it's been rubbing on the body right here and there at some point. So I'm gonna have to get that straightened out before it makes that much worse. I also have concerns with just how low it rides in the back. I know the tire seems to be tucked in, that's how it's supposed to be, but I don't think it's supposed to be tucked in quite that far. Especially compared to the front, which seems like it's sitting up quite a bit. And now getting into the engine bay itself, it seems, as best I can tell, that this is not the original. Well, I know that it's not the original engine. As best I can tell, it is a 1600cc Volkswagen air-cooled Boxer 4-cylinder, as should have come in this car, but the 1600cc would not have been factory in '68, to the best of my knowledge. There's the serial number on the engine, if anyone can tell me more about that. I do have what I believe to be a flamethrower distributor. Got the battery after I got the car home, and underneath, you can't tell, the battery's not actually held in place by anything because there's significant rust through in the engine compartment, and the battery tray is completely gone. Looks like that's where it should have been at one point. The Weber dual barrel 3236 progressive carburetor is also not factory, but I've seen a lot of these on cars and they're apparently pretty good. I haven't read a lot of complaints about them, so I'm keeping that on there for now. A couple other little things, you'll notice that I have some wear in the belt. It's starting to dry rot and crack, so I have another belt ready to install. I'll be doing that soon. You'll also notice from the fuel pump there are no lines right now, and that is because I noticed a small fuel leak coming out of the end of one of the hoses, which had probably been on there for quite some time and were also starting to dry rot. And they were starting to leak fuel very close to the sparking distributor, which is not really what you want. So I got those fuel lines out of there. I do have a new fuel filter ready to install, and I'm waiting for some fuel lines to arrive, and I'll get those put in. If you're familiar with these engines, you'll also notice that these go to the heater boxes, which open into the cab or cabin of the car to provide heat when you have those vents open. These on this car have been sealed off, and everything leading to the cabin are completely rusted away and are not with this car. So I believe they would normally go down through those holes. They do not, because they don't exist right now, but they're also available. If you like this video and want to follow along with my project, please subscribe, please like this video. I know a lot of you probably know more about Volkswagens than I do. I'm learning as I go and loving the experience, so please give feedback. Anything you can add to my adventures, let me know. And I look forward to you sticking with me through all this whole project. Thank you.